Now that the World Cup's over, there's a bunch of new soccer or football fans that want to find an English Premier League team that they can root for. And I think, interestingly enough, Jack, we're going to be discussing helping new soccer fans pick a team. I fit into this category because I didn't know much about soccer. I knew a little bit about the history of soccer from just my love for sports and understanding how it fits in the world of sports. But I don't have a team, and I've wanted to pick a team. So hopefully after we talk today and you answer some of these questions for me, I can maybe pick somebody and I'll know who I need to root for once the season gets going for the Premier League. Let's start things off with this. So it's very simple. Which team is the bandwagon team? The team that just everybody roots for. It is either widely supported by the passionate EPL fans or maybe is just the casual team that when somebody needs to pick a team, they pick them. American equivalent is the Dallas Cowboys for the NFL, or maybe like a Notre Dame for college football.
We've definitely got a historic bandwagon team and a current bandwagon team. And generally that comes down to who is dominating the Premier League at that moment in time. And growing up myself from London, a boy from London, you would often have Manchester United fans, a team situated in Manchester, like 4 hours away from London. And you would always question why. But you'd understand that though that was the bandwagon team at the time, because Manchester United are the most successful team in English football history. To a degree, Liverpool can challenge with that. But at that moment in time, Manchester United were the bandwagon team. However, around that time, as I was leaving school, another Manchester club got injected with money, and that was Manchester City. And so if you ever wanted a bandwagon club because of who is dominating the Premier League at the time, it is one of the Manchester Blue or Manchester Red teams, because Manchester City since then have completely dominated the Premier League. And I went to Australia last year and there were so many Manchester City fans. It was incredible to see. And it's because they have been managed by Pep Guardiola, the best manager in the world. They've had the most ridiculous players go through their system in the past 15 years. Your Sergio Agueros, your Yaya Torres, your David Silvas, your Kevin De Bruynes, your Agueros, your Vincent Kompanies. These are world-renowned players. And if you wanted to support a club, you'd want to see them winning every week, unless you're a little bit sick in the head, which some of us are when watching sports. But I would say currently it would be Manchester City. I think if you're in for a bit of a challenge and there's no certainty to you winning the league, then Arsenal might be your shout at the moment. They won the league last year after the first time in 20 years. And that could be a bit of fun because there's a lot of misery supporting Arsenal, but they are winners now. So that could be a bit of an outsider. But if you want to jump on the bandwagon, it's Manchester City all the way.
If there was a team that maybe isn't currently the most successful, but historically has a deep history, just has always been consistently competitive, I thought of this as like the New York Giants and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're up at the tops of the NFL in terms of Super Bowls won. They are some of the earliest franchises in the NFL. And before the Super Bowl even existed, they won a ton of NFL championships. For the college football equivalent, Alabama and Ohio State, Michigan can also be thrown into this, where just always really, really good. There's very rarely a down season. You can always trust that they'll be competitive, but maybe they haven't recently won a championship or a title. Is there a team that fits that description?
Yeah, I would say up until recently, I would say Liverpool were that team because they were a fantastic team. Historically, would have been the bandwagon team of my dad's generation, say, because they won so much. The most successful team in England and in Europe as an English club. However, they actually started winning titles again and started winning European Cups again recently. And so Manchester United would have to be my shout again because they were the most successful team in England up until a point recently because they won so many Premier Leagues. And it was like they were the devil that everyone wanted, literally the Red Devils. They were the devil that everyone wanted to finally have this down period where they win nothing. And then it happened 13 years ago. In 2013, Sir Alex Ferguson left the club. And since then, it's just been a roller coaster. They win games. They're in the top half of the table a lot of time, but they are just disappointing. They never seem to get things over the line. And with Carrick at the wheel now, they had a great end to last season. And I think they are going to have another good season this year. So if that was the outsider historic bandwagon bet, I'd say Manchester United are your best choice.
Is there a team that over the past like 3 to 5 years that have just been super, super dominant? The Chiefs have been the team that everybody's paid close attention to, albeit they had a down year this past year. They were always in contention for the Super Bowl. They've reached multiple Super Bowls. They've won multiple Super Bowls since Patrick Mahomes took over the team. Georgia for college football since Kirby Smart, their new head coach, took over. While they haven't won a national title recently, they had some brilliant runs in the early 2020s. Is there a team that just very recently has been that hot team?
I would say generally Manchester City, because they're the most dominant team in England at the moment. They've got the most money. They have the best players. They are going for a bit of a change at the moment. And with Pep Guardiola leaving, Arsenal have come to take that spot at the top last season. Arsenal haven't been in this position for the last 15, 20 years. And then in the last 3 or 4 years, they can't stop winning. And they finally got it over the line this year. So I would say with that pull, they're going to be bringing in a lot more transfers this summer to strengthen that team to try and retain the title. As Manchester City have a new manager at the wheel. Chelsea are going for a transitional period. Liverpool are here and there at the moment. I would definitely say Arsenal are the up-and-coming team in terms of they're not a nobody because historically they've won plenty of Premier Leagues, I think 12 or 13. But at the moment, they're red hot, if you'll excuse the pun.
Is there a team that has like the most entertaining stars, either on the field with their play or off the field with the way that they handle themselves? In the NFL, the best example I can think of is like Cincinnati Bengals, because Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are just such a great combination with one another. It's not just one star who represents that brand. And right now, University of Miami has been the star-led team because Malachi Toney is an unbelievable player. Ruben Bain was a big story this past year. Darian Mensah has garnered a lot of attention. Who's got the best players that are just so fun to watch?
Off the top of my head, of course, I'm going to say my team. Chelsea have a lot of great players, very exciting to watch, young, talented, not quite winning things at the moment. They won the Club World Cup last year, but everyone is not sure whether that was just a pre-season tournament. They definitely do have the most exciting players with Cole Palmer, with João Pedro, with Estevao coming through. However, I want to go a little bit more exotic with this one because we can't have everyone supporting all the top 6 teams all the time. So I would definitely say in this situation, Bournemouth or Crystal Palace are the most exciting teams to watch. So this season we've seen Michael Olise, Eberechi Eze, we've seen Mateta all represent their nations at the World Cup. And in the last few years, Crystal Palace really have had a bit of a meteoric rise with a brilliant style of football under Glasner. And they won their first piece of silverware in their history last season or the season before. And they played a great, exciting style of football, fast pace, 3 at the back, lots of fun to watch. However, a lot of that team, because of how exciting they were, got picked apart, unfortunately, and a lot of these players left a bigger club. But it has left them in a good financial situation, and they play a lot better football than they used to. An outsider's bet would be Bournemouth. Bournemouth got promoted fairly recently, and they've solidified their team after their backline got picked apart. But they do play some really exciting football with your Cliverts, with your Traffords. Yeah. Anyway, they play a really exciting brand of football, and I would definitely choose them as an outsider team to support if you're wanting to see some exciting attacking football, who might not be at the top of the game, but you're in for a ride with a team like Bournemouth, with a team like Brentford, with a team like Palace. It's mid-table, but it's great fun.
Is there a team that is just always a defensive powerhouse that is just super mauling and gritty, that always winning low-scoring games? The NFL equivalent I thought of was the Seahawks, even though they had a pretty big offensive year this past year. But when they were led by Pete Carroll and now Mike McDonald, they've always had this defensive identity. The college football example is easy. Iowa never scores any points. They always win by pulling you down to their level and just beating the hell out of you for 4 quarters. Is there a team that does that, kind of like what Spain just did, where they score very rarely, but they just win through fundamentals and defensive play?
Yeah, interestingly, I would have to point to Arsenal with this one. And again, another big gunner, but they really have won the title this year via just solid defensive work. A lot of people question whether it was a bit dodgy in the way they did it because they were very physical. They won it via set pieces a lot of the time. But we can't deny that back line is so defensive. Arteta has a style of football that kind of has a little tip of the hat to the Arsenal of old. Arsenal used to win a lot of the titles 1-0 to the Arsenal because they would get that goal and they would lock up. And the Arsenal of new kind of resembles that because it's very strange. When I was growing up, Chelsea were the best defensive unit in the Premier League, and they have the best defensive Premier League record ever, only conceding 15 goals in an entire 38-game season. But Arsenal have kind of like flipped the script on that now, where Chelsea are playing the exciting attacking football and Arsenal play this defensive lines, and we all know defense wins you titles. So if you want to see a team cause a bit of angst where they just cannot get past that back line, Arsenal are the team to support there.
Team maybe the opposite side of things that is super high scoring, always focused on offense in their history. The 49ers have been that team recently. University of Texas has a pretty high flying offense as well, led by Arch Manning. Is there a team that fits that descriptor?
Yeah, interestingly, like earlier in the season, Sunderland came along and they just got promoted, but they spent a hell of a lot of money and they were winning games with some interesting scorelines that you wouldn't expect a newly promoted team to do. AFCON came along and kind of disrupted that rhythm they had, but they still ended up finishing the season 7th. So that is a new and exciting team to kind of want to follow. Historically, a massive team in Premier League history, but they kind of fell off the Premier League wagon a bit in recent times in the last 20 years. But they found themselves back as a mid-table Premier League team. So that's, if you wanted to get involved with a team from outside the Big Six, Sunderland would definitely be one to choose. Again, if we're going for the highest scoring teams, you're going to look to your Erling Haalands again. Manchester City score the most ridiculous scorelines because of having players like Erling Haaland who just breaks Premier League records every season. And he doesn't look like he's going to leave with the new manager, Enzo Maresca, coming in. So, yeah, again, Manchester City is an easy team if you want to see a lot of goals going in.
All right, last question I got for you. Fans, certainly, some fans like rooting for a villain. No matter what, they like feeling like the villain in the sport. The Patriots have always been the villain in football for the NFL. And LSU recently has turned into the villain in college football because of Lane Kiffin and his antics and stealing him away from one of the rivals in Ole Miss. Is there a team that is the just consistent, obvious villain for fans that are looking for that type of identity?
Yeah, I think, again, my team, Chelsea, is often seen as the villain. I'm not sure whether that's because when you win a lot, you become the face of evil like your Arsenal has this season. However, Chelsea generally, I think because they had an injection of one of the first teams to get an injection of foreign money, and people saw the money spent and the winning spent as plastic and cheating. So often when Chelsea win things, they are looked at as the villain of the Premier League. But however, like I say, at the moment, Arsenal, because of the way they've been winning through set pieces and help from the referees, they've been seen as a massive villain this season. You have teams like Leeds who are ridiculous in terms of they have so many off-field rivalries with a lot of big clubs. You know, in the lower league, you have Millwall as well. These are clubs around the bottom who might come up, might come down, who are just seen as the villains. But I would say as the top teams, your Arsenals and Chelseas, as your London clubs, are often looked at as the villains of the Premier League. Unless you're looking for the actual villains, then Aston Villa are the villains.
Folks, do us a favor, comment below. What team after all of this are you thinking of rooting for? Hit the like button on this video if you enjoyed it, and also subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. We'll talk to you later.